I have been a Fujifilm landscape photographer for about the past 10 years, and this system has accompanied me across all my adventures amazingly. But over the years, it has also shown its limitation, which has led me to consider changing to full frame cameras. And also, my cameras and my lenses are getting older, and if I have to change for something, then let's change for an upgrade. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you my thought process, what worked for me, what didn't work anymore, what I was looking for, what were my options, and what was my final choice. So actually, what worked with Fujifilm? So this is an amazing system that I really enjoyed. And the one of the main thing I love about this camera is the small size, the compact size, and the weight that helps me to travel with it, that helps me to carry across the mountain, like go up a mountain, put it in a backpack without considering the weight so much. So I've been using it professionally for the past few years, and that has really helped me. Has its few of its drawback, but no major problems. But there was still some limitations, and one of the main limitations was night photography, where basically the maximum ISO needs to be used when you want to do Milky Way or Northern Lights photography, which means that I need to reach the maximum capacity of the cameras. Lots to recover on post-processing, and it gets a little bit annoying. Then the second thing is the dynamic range. It has an acceptable dynamic range, but when you do sunrises or sunset, you always need to, often needs to shoot bracketing. And for the northern lights, for example, I would need to be right spot on the exposure in order to make sure that I can recover of the highlights if there is like a tiny bit of spike in the northern lights. So that came a bit annoying. Finally, and that's a well-known problem to Fuji, is the autofocus reliability. So I don't use the autofocus very often, but when I need it, I like that it works. Like it constantly keeps on chasing a bird, for example, losing it. It also happened with people where I would have shot a child, for example, in the grass, and it would keep on losing it, meaning that I would be losing some of the shots. And of course, it has since it's a professional camera, I want a camera that works in all instances. So the newer camera, a little bit more performing, X-T5 and so on, but the X-T3 and X-T4 were a little bit back. And now there will be the X-T6 that will be released probably early next year, and that camera will actually be certainly better, but I don't want to wait another 6 months and discover that actually the camera doesn't make it, So what were my requirements for a new system? So first of all, better low light, better dynamic range, better autofocus, higher megapixel count, especially if I want to get to 45 million pixels. About the lenses, having a super zoom with this system, with my Fuji system, I tend to use the 18 to 55 and the 55 to 200. And when I'm around 55 millimeters, I keep on switching between the two lenses, and I don't want this anymore. So one super zoom is important, like 28 to 300 millimeters, for example. On the ultra wide angle lens, which is very important for me as a landscape photographer, I want to make sure I can get a lens that can shoot during the day, during the night, where I can put filters on like CPL, ND because I'm doing slow exposure, or waterfall. So all of this was really important for me. So what were my options at this stage? There were actually 4 options. So in terms of brands and cameras. So the Panasonic S1R2, the Canon R5, the Nikon Z8, and the Sony A7 V or A7 R6. They were like the options open to me. So Lumix, Panasonic. The S1R2, it has great body, lots of options, but it's unfortunately very heavily tilted towards videography, which means that it's not really what I want, and it feels like the lens ecosystem is good, but they're still developing. The IF, the autofocus is good, but not on par with the competition. If I change for a body for something much better, I'd rather have something that works and that works beautifully. So no compromise here. I dismissed Panasonic. And Canon. Canon has great bodies, really amazing performances and so on. Very good lenses, all native, no third parts. But on the negative side, you need to be ready to pay the premium for it. Like there's a premium with Canon, which somehow feels less and less justified in my opinion. That's very personal. But then I kept it in the list, but I wasn't too sure about it. Still considering it because it's good quality cameras. Then there was Nikon. Nikon, so it came a long way after the Z6, Z7, Z7 II, and now it has the Z8, which is like an incredibly a good body, like very high performances. So definitely amazing stuff. Lots of lenses, native and third parts. The biggest drawback with Nikon is actually the weight and size. It has like very heavy lenses, not heavy lenses, heavy bodies, and that actually weighs down compared to what I have here, which is a very light body. But well, that's part of the game. And am I ready to deal with it? Yeah, I could handle it somehow. Sony has very light bodies, pretty much almost like Fujifilm, has lots of lenses, very good noise performance, very good autofocus. It's like on paper, it looks like the dream camera. And honestly, the drawbacks are also limited. One of them is like the user friendliness, let's say, that it feels like shooting with a computer. That's what I read a lot around. So it was like a bit difficult to put my head around it. And also one more important for me is the wide angle side. Like on the ultra wide angle lenses, Sony feels like it lags a little bit behind the competition. But that's my personal opinion, and I'm going to talk about it a bit later. So at this stage, I was left with a Canon R5, the Nikon Z8, and the Sony a7 IV or a7 R6. I looked a little bit better at the Canon option because I kind of liked it, but I was really unsure. And I realized that the screen on the R5 is only a fully articulated screen, meaning that it opens fully and you are kind of limited and unlimited in the terms of what you can do with it. And I felt like it's not gonna work for me. I have it on my X-T4, which I'm filming with right now. And this is the tilt screen, by the way, just to have a reference, like it opens like in various angles. And the fully articulated screen, I did not like it on my X-T4. I feel it's inconvenient. It's subject to breaking because you would move it around. It felt very uncomfortable, so I decided with that not to follow with Canon. Sorry. So I was left with Nikon Z8 and Sony a7 IV or a7 R6. And I was like, okay, all these bodies are great. Like I have nothing to complain about. So why not just looking at the lens ecosystem? As I said, I wanted a super telezoom. So like Nikon has the 28 to 400 millimeters. Sony has the 28 to 300 millimeters from Tamron, which both are great options. I would be fine with any of these lenses. That's great. On the wildlife end, they both have amazing lenses. I'm not going to spend too much time, and that was not a deciding factor. One has the 200 to 600 millimeters with Sony, and Nikon has the 180 to 600 millimeters. They are equivalent lenses, similar qualities. So there is really nothing to discuss here. Equivalent choice. Then what about the wide angle side? So I wanted a lens that, once again, can use during the day, during the night, and where I can put filters on. So Sony has the 16 to 35 millimeters f2.8. Great, but 16 millimeters is very limiting for me. I wanted something like equivalent to my 10-24 millimeters, at least on the wider angle, which means like that would be 15 millimeters on full frame minimum. So at 16 millimeters, it didn't do it for me. So I dismissed that lens immediately. I've seen it in use and didn't really like it. There is a Samyang, which is a newly released lens. I mean, it's not very old. And it's at 14 to 24 millimeters f2.8. Great lens on paper, but unfortunately, it's subject to like quality default, and like people seem to be complaining about it. Like quality control is not great, so I'm not changing and upgrading to get lower quality. No way. So I dismissed that lens too. Then I was left with the 12-24 from Sony. There is a f2.8 or f4 version. Of course, I would go for the f2.8 since it's the version I can use at night as well. The only big drawback I had with it is the fact that it's a bulbous front because of the 12 millimeters, which by the way is amazing. And this bulbous front, you can't put a filter on it. You have to buy an adapter, which is big, which is heavy, which is very expensive as well, to put like a CPL or ND filters. You can always put filters on the back of the lens, but why would you do that when you're like facing a sea or when you are like close to a waterfall? No way I'm doing this and I'm screwing my gear. So that became very complicated on the Sony side. Then what about Nikon? Because that's the one remaining now. Nikon has 14 to 30 millimeters lens, which is f4, so that was not really the one I wanted because I wanted something at night. So and there is like a 14-24 f2.8, which is actually great, where you can screw in something in front. You can. These are expensive filters still because they are big, but you can do it. So basically, that lens would do everything I wanted, and at 14 millimeters, it's also wider than my 10-24 millimeters on Fuji. So it felt like the great option for me. So I'm guessing that by now you already know which system I've chosen. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. I chose the Nikon Z8. So that's my new camera. Now I have the 28-400 millimeters mounted on it. I have the 14-24 millimeters, and I have the 180 to 600 millimeters. Honestly, so far I'm very happy with it. It has been a little bit of a challenge to play with the menus, but not as much as I thought. It's actually fairly easy to switch from one to the other. I always see this people complaining from one system to another about the menus, but I think it's just a matter of getting used to it. So you need to kind of reset your brain and say, okay, that's something completely new. Let's use it from scratch, completely new, and let's learn it completely. And so far, it works fine. Still need to get the habits and some automatism out of it, but generally speaking, I'm perfectly fine. One thing I really like, so first of all, it's big. It's a lot bigger than my Fuji, and that's okay. Actually, it's not as constraining as I thought it would be. And I only have two lenses that I take with me most of the time, which is the 28-400 and the 14-24. While with the Fuji, I would take three lenses plus another one if I would get do night photography, which means four lenses. So in the end, the trade-off is quite good for me. One thing that really I enjoy so far, and that might sound silly, and I read about it a lot before buying the camera, and that's actually amazing. It's the grip. The camera is heavy, it's big, but the grip is so amazing that you barely feel the weight. It doesn't annoy you. It feels so comfortable and fits in the hand. I'm quite tall. I'm 1.90 m or 6'3", something like this. So it's quite convenient. While the Fuji, I got used to it. It's very convenient. Even charging now, you feel the weight like really a lot. Okay, not the same lens either. And it's you feel that you need to really kind of play a little bit more with your fingers. I got used to it, so I'm fine. But for people who would be like really have ultimate comfort, it would be hard to beat this. I've tried some Sony before, and my fingers would hardly pass between the lens and the grip here. So yeah. So far, I feel I made a very good choice. I'm very happy about it. Still have a lot to learn, a lot to test, but what I've tested so far is quite amazing. So I'm really looking forward to playing even further with it. So I'm going to share with you also in the upcoming month more information, more comparison with Fuji, telling you a little bit more why it could be good to change. But, or not to change actually. But for now, that's pretty much it. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative, and please note that lens ecosystem is really important, and also don't be fooled by all the marketing around the bodies, because for example Sony released the A7R6 now, it's very recent. There is a Z8 II that will be coming in 2 years, which will be more advanced than the R6 today. So the cycle keeps on going like this, and no matter the brand, it keeps on going. So you're always going to have a great body, and if you buy a body from the last 2-3 years, you're going to be amazed. So yeah, that's pretty much it on my end. That's a lot of information already. So I hope you enjoyed it, and with that, I wish you good luck with your photography, and see you another time in another video.